I just want to thank you for letting me in on this really amazing summit. I knew it was going to be great. When I felt the energy in the room today, I know that it's going to be a very important meeting for you guys, and hopefully I can be part of that. So today, I'd like to speak to you about one of the most important decisions you've been thinking about your entire life. What do you want to be when you grow up? No pressure there, right? But by raise of hands, how many of you know what career path you want to pursue? Okay, and how many of you don't quite know yet? This looks about right. And then how many are you too terrified to just raise your hand? They all right, come on. Okay, so I remember how terrifyingly exciting this time in my life was. I was one who absolutely positively knew what career I would pursue. I was going to be a banker. My grandfather started the Box Elder County Bank. My uncle attended the U and landed a job in New York in banking. Banking was in my DNA. I was born to be a banker. And in my last year of college, I had interviews lined up with some of the biggest names in banking: B of A, Chase, Citibank. What could possibly go wrong? Do I look like that guy? So, here's what could go wrong. 10 minutes into every interview, I noticed the interviewer would do one of those little sneak looks at their watch when they don't think you know what you're doing, but you know that they're looking at their watch. And their eyes would roll so far back inside their head to a point I wasn't sure if I would ever see their pupils again. I finally got the courage and asked, "I'm not right fit for banking, am I?" And with a sigh of relief, the interviewer's eyes would roll back into place and they would say, "No, no, you are not." Okay, well, what career do you think I should pursue? And every interviewer said, "Have you thought about brand management?" Now, I'm still not sure if they meant it or they just wanted to get rid of me. Talk about a buzzkill. My career hadn't taken off and I was already grounded. But I took the advice of the interviewers. I did a deep dive into learning about brand management at career recruitment centers, talked to everyone I thought might know something about it, and soon realized the interviewers were right. Brand management was in my DNA. It was more creative and, dare I say, more fun, and thus started a 40-year career which I have loved. Now, I wanted to share that experience with you as it is one of the 14 insider tips we'll be talking about today. Now, it's okay if you don't know what career you want or should pursue, or maybe the career you want is not the one your talents and personality are right for. If that's the case, it's better to know now rather than later. So, let go of your ego and ask other people their opinion and listen to what they have to say. Not business as usual, a new paradigm for career success is the title of today's speech. Being here puts each of you ahead of most people in building a great career. How? Well, first, you're all getting great educations at the schools that you're going to. And second, you care enough to be here for experiential learning and networking. But, I'm not going to lie, getting ahead is not going to be business as usual. With COVID turning all businesses upside down, full industries collapsing, bye-bye entertainment, my industry, and AI creeping into all aspects of business, it's going to take hard work, strategic planning, some luck, but most importantly, you accepting the challenge of being your number one advocate for a successful career. Now, in the next 40 minutes, I'd like to share with you 14 points I have learned over 40 years that have helped make my career a successful one. But before we get into the insider tips and later a case study, I wanted to first do a quick disclaimer. Second, set the stage with one thing I would recommend you do your entire career. And third, bust one of the most obnoxious myths I ever heard. So, everything we're talking about today is based on my thoughts, my experience, and may or may not be in line with former employees or current market trends. This talk today is not intended to give you all the answers, but hopefully it will give you direction on your career journey. Second, I would encourage you to read or listen to books and listen to or watch podcasts. I'm not going to recommend specific books or podcasts, as what has been inspirational for me may or may not be inspirational for you. But reading for continuous learning is critical. And remember, it is the quality of the books and podcasts and not the quantity. Please, never stop learning. Also, you may want to yearly reread, re-listen, or rewatch those books and podcasts that really resonate with you. I have 5 books I reread every single year, as the knowledge they impart always feels fresh to me. As the Greek philosopher Haskins said, no man ever steps in the same river twice, for it's not the same river, and he's not the same man. Third, the myth. The myth, which I think is the most overused, nonsensical phrase. If you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. To which I say, unless you do what people are willing to pay you, you're never going to earn a dime in your life. Now, the top dreams, and I think we all could admit to this, are in sports or entertainment. But did you know the odds are over 1,000,000 to 1 of getting into that industry, let alone having a thriving career? And right now, and this is a relatively new phenomena, the most popular job right now is being a YouTube or social influencer. See? But did you know that only 0.3%, let me repeat that, 0.3% make over $5,000 a month? So, how do you discover your path for success? It's an ongoing process and part of the journey. There are dozens of aptitude tests and career tests available in a thriving industry of career influencers on Instagram who will happily dispense information for a price. My take is that career experts and aptitude tests all have their place and could be, maybe should be explored. But the downside is they are all old school, in that they focus on your career with little attention to your life. And unless your career is going to be your life, you should view the career in context of how it fits into your life. And this shouldn't be a one-time only exploration. Now, a few minutes ago, I recommended to be your #1 advocate for a successful career. What I'm about to share with you is a very different way to help you figure out the right direction for your career. What I like about this approach is it has you look at not only your career, not only your strengths, and looks holistically at all aspects of your life. This is something that can help you as you change and grow in your career. I also like that it is a visual exercise, which I think helps you see your career multidimensionally. Now, the holistic approach is called Ikigai, which is a Japanese word for reason for being. It's based on the 4 most important quadrants of your life and how they differ and how they are similar. Now, don't panic about copying this all down right now. This slide and video recording of my presentation will be available next week. But yes, that is a homework assignment. So, homework assignment is coming up. As you can see on the slides, there is a circle at the top, one at the bottom, one on the right, and one on the left, which all 4 circles intersect in the middle and on either side of each circle. The top circle is listing what you love. The bottom circle is what you can get paid for. The right circle is listing what the world needs, and the left circle is listing what you are good at. And if you look at the interconnections of the circles on each sides of the circle, you see the commonalities between the 2 circles and what they could represent for different aspects of your life. For example, the intersection between the circles of what you love and what you are good at represents your passion. The intersection between what you love and what the world needs represents your mission. And what you can get paid for and what the world needs represents vacation. And finally, what you are good at and what you can get paid for should represent your profession. Now, methodically going through this process and putting your answers in each circle will help you understand more about yourself, your ambitions, and a career direction that takes into account all aspects of your life. I know this is a lot to absorb in a very small amount of time, but this philosophy encourages people to know what's important to them and how to live a life full of purpose and joy. Okay, I warned you, here's your first homework assignment. On a piece of paper, create the 4 circles of your ikigai and your reason for living. Again, the more you work with this philosophy, the more comfortable you will get with it, and the more valuable it will become. As an advocate for everyone in this room, I would recommend you begin this exercise as soon as you can. It's not an easy assignment, but it's a meaningful one that will help you build not only your career, but your life. When you have workshopped this enough, share it with friends and family and get their input. This should be an ongoing yearly ritual to help you with the process. You can search or Google Ikigai. There are dozens of examples you can use to get going. Now, Ikigai gives you the broad picture of your career. We are now going to talk about the 14 insider tips that will help you achieve your career goals on a day-to-day basis. The first 5 tips should be started as you transition from student-employee, right where you guys are right now. And the very first tip is, it's not where you school, it's how you school. For generations, the way top corporations of America hired was to recruit from schools only the top 10% of schools. However, a few years back, Malcolm Gladwell, a kind of quirky journalist known for his unique perspective on pop culture, who has, by the way, 8 New York Times bestsellers, came up with a well-researched new perspective that rather than recruiting only from the top schools, corporations should recruit only the top performers from any school. His key learning was, it wasn't where a person went to school, it was how they performed at the school they attended. Performance was based on grades, test scores, and to some extent, extracurricular activities. When he presented this finding at a Google Zeitgeist conference, which I attended, Eric Schmidt, who was the Google CEO at the time, announced he was so impressed by Gladwell's findings, he would immediately start recruiting this way. And guess what? Most corporations have followed. Okay, insider tip number 2, interview the interviewer. We talked about this at the top of the presentation. No one knows more about the job you're interviewing for than the person interviewing you. They talk to dozens of people a day. They know who will do well at the job, who won't. Take advantage of this one-on-one time. It's a very rare opportunity, and you should take advantage of it. Ask strategic questions, such as, what type of person succeeds at this job? Why did people quit? Why were people fired? Please don't ask tactical questions like, when will I get promoted? When will I get an office with a window? Or why is the salary so low? You are here to sell you, as Alan would say. So sell you and gather as much information as possible. Insider tip number 3. Your first job out of college will be your single most important job. It sets the trajectory for your entire career. Do not base your decision on salary, on location, or on title. Base it solely on the opportunity. My first corporate job was Procter & Gamble. I know there's some alumni out there, so big hi. I loved my time at Procter. It taught me how to think, but I hated Cincinnati. Cold, gray, and dreary, and had none of the outdoor activities I was used to. Now, on the plus side, my focus was 100% on my job because there's nothing else to do. If I hadn't accepted the job at Procter based on the opportunity, I would not have been recruited to Disney and ultimately ended up as president of streaming at the CW. Insider tip 4, do a deep dive into the company's culture to understand what the company values and rewards. This is a very important one that I don't think a lot of people think about, but hopefully through this you will. There are usually 2 points of view on a company culture that are not necessarily mutually exclusive. One is on the corporate website and communicated by public relations and HR. The other one is verbally communicated among the employees. I was at the Walt Disney Company with Michael Eisner and Jeffrey Katzenberg, who were laser focused on turning Disney around. At work, you would hear the mantra from all the other employees: if you don't come to work on Saturday, don't bother coming up on Sunday. This philosophy permeated the company, and though not asked, you would find yourself in the office on Saturdays and Sundays. At the CW, there was a very different mantra, run by entertainment executives who had already proven themselves. The mantra was simple: no a-holes. It's a good mantra. The key was hiring employees and working with producers who didn't have reputations of being bullies, egomaniacs, or hard to work. As you mentally download each company's values and rewards, you should see how closely they align to your values, because if they don't, you may not succeed at that business. And finally, and I hate this one, rethink sending out the same resume to every job you're applying for. This is really a new phenomenon, but at many companies, gone are the days that an actual human being will read a submitted first-round resume. Instead, the resume may be reviewed by an ATS, or applicant tracking system. It's an algorithm-based AI app that is searching for specific keywords that are used in the job descriptions put out by the company. Now, they will tell you this helps companies sift through non-starter applicants, and as one marketing brochure states, provides tools to make smarter hiring decisions. This works for overburdened HR recruiting departments, but it is incredibly frustrating for those seeking a job. I think, unfortunately, you would best be served if you play the game for right now. Use Research's U Career Success here at the university. Think about writing different resumes for different companies using specific keywords you find in the job descriptions. So, now we are going to transition from being a student to being an employee, and all the thrills, spills, and all kind of fills that come with a career. Now, on day one of your new job, you should start at least the next 3 insider tips and roll out the others as you see fit. Insider tip 6, begin to build your referral community. Start building a digital Rolodex of people you meet and interact with on a business level, and together you can help each other throughout your mutual careers. This is the best way to start to build a network. But just building a Rolodex isn't enough. You need to stay in touch with everyone in that Rolodex, checking up with them and updating them on your status. I believe cultivating these type of relationships in a real organic manner is the single best way to move up and grow in your career. Now, here's a confession. I haven't had a resume in 30 years. Every job opportunity and job I have gotten, every board that I am on, is through people who knew me and my reputation, either through working together or hearing about me. All right, guys, it's time to be your number one advocate right now. We're going to jumpstart your digital Rolodex right now. I'd like to turn the lights up a little further and have you introduce yourself to 4 people, someone on your left, someone on your right, in front or back. Get their names and contact information and put it in your phone, and let's get going. You have 3 minutes, go. Okay, guys. Okay, guys, let's get going. Now, unfortunately, the homework is going to continue. Tonight, I'd like you to reach out to all of your new friends and find out what their favorite part or the thing they hated the most of today's presentation was. And every 6 months, check in with them. As I said earlier today, you need to be your number one advocate. It takes a lot of work. It can be scary putting yourself out there, but if done consistently over time, it will pay out. Number 7, managing your boss. Okay. In many ways, your success will be based on your boss's success. And although it goes without saying, you need to make sure you are doing a fantastic job. What many people don't realize, your most important task is not doing that. That just goes without saying. Your most important task is to make your boss look good. You report to them, and they have more credibility and influence in the office than you do. Too many times I've seen people second guess their boss, correct them in front of a meeting, or even disrespect them because they thought they were smarter or knew better. And I can also tell you, I have seen strong careers derail on ego-driven power plays that don't go well. Respect your boss and the hierarchy. Your boss's success equals your group's success, which will equal your success. Now, the exceptions are if the boss is doing something illegal, non-conforming to corporate rules and regulations. If this is the case, you will need to go to HR and let them handle the situation. Do not get involved. Insider tip 8, look out and prepare for make or break opportunities. These type of opportunities don't happen often. I would say maybe every 5 years or so in your career, but when they do happen, you have to be prepared and ready to act quickly or you will miss an opportunity of a career. Now, preparation includes keeping up with things in the zeitgeist, which is the mood of society at the moment, being aware of the latest trends in new technology in your industry, being aware of your competition and how the industry is moving, and being willing to say yes, yes, and yes. Often when the offer is extended, it could include moving from state to state or even country to country. Timing is of the essence, and you need to know and trust the person extending the offer implicitly. For me, my move to Disney and then to Lifetime were weekend offers with a very short time to decide. Insider tip number 9. How many know what imposter syndrome is? How many have experienced imposter syndrome? Okay. This is really, I love this one. And it's that uncomfortable feeling you experience when you think you're unqualified or incompetent, but your boss wants you to do something. This feeling is real and must be embraced. Any move up or outward can spark this feeling. Just know, people with more experience than you have greater trust in your skills than you do. More than likely, you have the skills and show promise that you can handle the growth. I love this quote. Confucius said it best. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. It's time you get out. Insider tip 10. If you're fired, guys, it's not the end of the world. It's the start of a new opportunity. Unfortunately, or fortunate, because I do think that it helps you grow, being fired is part and parcel of today's career path. There are usually 3 main reasons people are fired. Cost cutting / restructuring, job performance is not up to expectations, or the job no longer fits the needs of the employee's growth and development. You outgrew your job. A word to the wise. Being fired is not the glaring mark in a person's career. It once was. And it may not affect career trajectory. No one has ever questioned if I got fired. And I have. Not a lot, but I have. Because they know me, they didn't care. Extra bonus tip. I get in trouble with this one too. Sometimes if you're thinking about quitting, and if there is an opportunity to be let go, fired, it may be more lucrative to be fired, and that possibility should be evaluated. I'm getting in trouble. Okay, insider tip number 11. HR is not your friend. HR's job is to transition employees into the company, what I call nice HRing, and transition them out. That's what I call stern HRing. They are also there to protect the company from lawsuits and to make sure the company is adhering to the rules and regulations of the government, the industry, and to some extent, the zeitgeist. Their job is not to coddle employees. Recently, after being let go, fired, an acquaintance called upset that neither someone from HR or the CEO hadn't called them and thanked them for their service. I explained to them that the company had been thanking them every week with a paycheck, paid vacation, and health insurance. To help prevent being fired and to avoid HR issues, I would recommend you do the best work you can, make your boss look good, but do not connect emotionally. HR is not emotionally connected to you. Number 12, brand yourself. In a world of fierce competition, fighting for a limited number of jobs, it is imperative that you stand out from the crowd. How do you convince a company to hire you versus the other people applying for your same job? How will you fit into the corporate culture? And how will you work with the rest of the team? You need to brand yourself. In a concise fashion, communicate what you can do uniquely to drive the business. What key attributes do you have to accomplish what you promised and provide the proof of all claims? You can do this with a personal brand statement. Here is mine, and I've never shared this. I'm a little embarrassed, but anyway. So this is my brand statement that I have, and it's my latest one that I've had for a couple of years. So Rick Haskins' unique entrepreneurial spirit and strategic creative vision drives businesses forward even in the toughest corporate environment. Okay, it's a great statement. But what attributes do you have that you can back this up with? Well, I'm not afraid to color outside the lines to achieve corporate goals. I do have an ability to lead large groups of employees comprised of a wide range of both left and right brain thinkers, and I love to incorporate future technology ideas into current business solutions. Okay, so far, check, check, check. But prove to us that you can do that by what have you done in the past that says you can do these things in the future. I pioneered streaming programming on all digital platforms. I oversaw 100 employees in diverse divisions, including programming, production, marketing, sales, and digital. And we were the first television entity to use social media as a means of marketing, programming, and selling ads. In fact, when we started using Facebook, it was Facebook at harvard.edu. So that's how long ago it was, and we were the first ones to do it. Insider tip 3, breathe. Now, I know this might feel a little woo-woo, and I'm stretching beyond to talk about careers, but with more and more research emerging about the importance of breath, how it affects you neurologically, and how you can control your moods through upregulating or downregulating your breath, it may be time to seriously think about how breath work can be an important arrow in your arsenal to be the best employee you can be. Did you know on average, people breathe about 22,000 times per day? It's the first thing people do when they are born and the last thing they do when they die. For starters, I would recommend being a nose breather, not a mouth breather. That alone, that little thing alone, can improve your health as breathing through your nose actually cools the air down, acts as a filter to eliminate harmful material from entering the lungs, and yes, lowers your blood pressure. So for more information, you can search or Google breathing, breathwork, or conscious breathing. And finally, insider tip 14. Release the past, live in the present, and don't worry about the future. Eccles' book, The Power of Now, brought this philosophy front and center to today's world. It teaches us if we want to be focused and maximize the moment we need to live in is now. This is applicable for living your best life or having your best career. But this philosophy has been around in both East and West for thousands of years, which makes me think this is a universal truth. In the Tao, which is a book of Chinese philosophy from around 460 BC, living in the present is a key principle. The book says it allows us to be fully present in the moment rather than dwelling in the past or worrying about the future. And in 121 AD, Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome and follower of Stoicism philosophy, wrote, "Each of us lives only now, this brief instant that the rest has been lived already or impossible to see." So, I put breathing and being present tips next to each other as they really do go hand in hand, as you will see in this quick exercise. It's pretty simple and good to calm the nervous system and move you into the present. It's called box breathing. We're going to do this here right now, so it's not homework. We're just doing it as part of the thing. But what we're going to do is place your hands on your knees and close your eyes. When I start to count down from 4, let's all breathe in, and we're going to do this in a minute. Hold your breath for the count of 4. Breathe out for the count of 4, and with empty lungs, hold for the count of 4. When you breathe in, the air, move your air up the nose. Feel that air moving up your nose. When you hold your breath, feel your fingers on your knees. When you breathe out, feel your breath. And when you hold again with your lungs empty, feel your fingers again. We're going to do this 2 times. You guys ready? So breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. We're going to repeat it. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4. And hold, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so let's think about it. This exercise down-regulates your nervous system to calm you down. Feeling the breath going in and out of your nose and feeling your fingers actually connects you to the present because that's what you're thinking about, and it is the now. When your day is getting out of hand, you may want to try this and see if you feel calmer. So let's get into a case study of the CW. This is just my own curiosity. How many guys are you familiar with the CW television network? Okay, that's pretty good. I wanted it to be better, but that's pretty good. Okay, so I wanted to share with you a real case study from the CW television network. Part of everyone's day-to-day job will be handling situations that spring up and that, if not handled correctly, could be detrimental to the overall business. In many ways, a job is crisis management on a daily basis. The good news for everyone here is you've been given an arsenal of weapons to better manage a crisis when it appears. For the case study today I'm about to share, 7 of today's insider tips came in handy. Interviewing the interviewer, or at least interviewing people closest to the situation, being prepared for make or break moments, managing your boss, moving through imposter syndrome, building a digital Rolodex of people you can reach out to, and breathing, lots of breathing, and living in the present. So, the CW television network has enjoyed such hits as Superman and Lois, All American, The Flash, and early on in the CW, we had a target audience of females aged 13 to 24. One of the CW's biggest shows was Gossip Girl. However, the overnight ratings were not where they should have been, and the press and buzz for the show was less than expected. Management felt the production of the show was not the problem. After all, Gossip Girl was adopted from a popular teen book series, and the creative team was just off the smash hit of WB's OC. And the stars of the show included Blake Lively, never heard of her, and Leighton Meester. Now, our task was to figure out why Gossip Girl wasn't big as management thought it should be. When no one can figure out why something should be working and it's not working, what does management do? They love to blame it on marketing and publicity. It's kind of a pastime with them. However, it usually is a combination of many factors, as we are about to learn. So, the solution is research, research, research. Step 1, consumer research. Here's what we learned. Television habits of our target audience of females 13 to 24 had changed almost overnight. They no longer predominantly watch television shows at a certain time on the family television. Instead, they watch shows when they wanted with delay viewing, where they wanted, their bedrooms, at the office, school, subways, buses, and how they wanted, traditional TV sets, laptops, office computers, and mobile phones. New ways of talking and communicating with friends while watching TV included text messaging when the viewers are in the same room, or my favorite is you're on the same coach and you're still text messaging. And you use a new vocabulary like LOL and WTF. Step 2, research the marketplace. What we learned. Unlike our target audience, older viewers, 24 plus, had not changed their viewing habits and continued with appointment viewing on TV sets and not on computer or mobile phones. The rapid change in younger viewers' habits had not been anticipated by Nielsen, which is the company that provided rating analysis for TV. Therefore, they were not properly capturing ratings. And finally, corporate America was unsure what to do of, if anything, social media. And step 3, we researched new technology, which we are now in the technology business. Streaming technical capabilities of long-form programming. Back in the day, probably can't remember this, 90 seconds or longer was considered long-form on streaming, and it was still in beta stage. Managing quality control was still in beta stage. And understanding the actual use of this social media thing, platform by platform, engaging how to best measure, was still a head scratcher. And step 4, you take all that information, you take all that research, an analysis of what you had learned, and a recommendation brief of how to move forward. For the consumer, we decided we needed to create a whole new direction for reaching our audience by changing the tone of advertising to better fit this new generation of viewers. Research, well, we got on the phone and we started working with Nielsen to update the footprint of measurement tools to better fit the new habits and practices of television viewers. And technology, create an internal task force to work with outside vendors to create higher quality long-form content delivery with minimal buffering. Also, aggressively partner with social media platforms and use this media as the #1 means of reaching our target audience. Okay, so what were the results? Well, I can tell you this, viewer reaction was immediate and really well received. The show was presented in an honest fashion. The most important thing on this is the ads were no longer talking down to the audience. We were talking to the audience in a language they spoke to each other. Let's look at a few print campaigns. So, can you go back? Yeah. So, this campaign, the OMFG campaign, what it was is we took scenes from the show, which we had done, and then we put how people were talking about the show on top of it so that they could relate. And I'm going to show you 2 commercials right now.
The only sour cherry on the fruit stand, right? Am I the only sour cherry on the fruit stand?
I succumbed to inebriation and surrendered my virtue to a self-absorbed.
You don't grant birthday wishes, do you?
Okay, so we'd captured the viewing audience. They loved it. What was press reaction? They hated it. Everything about it was negative. How dare the CW corrupt the youth of America? And as an aside, I knew we had hit it out of the ballpark when the press started giving me what they thought were condescending nicknames, such as Snake in the Grass and Bad Boy of Marketing. On the whole, it was a huge success. Ratings were up. The CW was finally recognized as a legitimate 5th national network. But you can never rest on your laurels, no matter what you do, no matter how big, how small. You can never rest on your laurels. And we were already trying to figure out what to do after the most infamous campaign in television history. What did we decide? We doubled down. We took all the negative reviews of the show campaign and turned them into headlines of a print campaign showing provocative visuals from the show. After all, how do you get teenagers to watch something? Tell them not to watch it. So here are some of the visuals. A nasty piece of work was a headline. Mind-blowingly inappropriate. A nasty piece, and then see the next ones. Every parent's nightmare. And then very, very bad for you. So, what we did is by taking a big bold chance, but all based on solid quantitative and qualitative research, these 2 campaigns literally changed the face of entertainment advertising. So, yes, it was risky. And yes, I could have been fired. But when the stakes are high and you have to trust your gut, and then you go for it. Okay, so I'm going to do some final thoughts now. Hopefully, the time we spent together has been helpful and provided some food for thought as you embark on your successful careers. Work hard, have fun, and I wish you nothing but the best. As for me, I'm still coloring outside the lines and trying my hardest to make a difference in the world. I still rely on the insider tips I shared with you here today and use Ikigai as my North Star for projects I want to pursue. Now, two of my passion projects are right here at the University of Utah. One is an annual scholarship for those who are either experiencing homelessness or have been in foster care. In Ikigai speak, this scholarship represents what I love, helping people achieve their dreams, and what the world needs: more opportunity for people to become prosperous through education and hard work. This is my mission. Now, the scholarship is named the Joan Horsley Haskins Career Starter Scholarship after my mom, who shared the same mission. I believe it is only one of two scholarships right now at the U designated expressly for applicants who are homeless and or in foster care. But I am thrilled to announce today that the U has enriched this scholarship immensely by adding an internship and housing as part of the package. Our collective goal is to change the lives of the recipients. A big shout out. So, big shout out to Steve Alder, right there, who among his many responsibilities oversees the new Center for Business, Health, and Prosperity, and who is generous enough to offer housing and internship for this scholarship. Thanks, Steve. Now, if you know of anyone who may be interested, or if you are a David Eccles School of Business student and are interested in helping with a scholarship or want to check out possible scholarships for yourself, please search or Google David Eccles School of Business and use this QR code. Now, the other project is with my nonprofit, Cast-a-Pebble. Partnering with the U Center for Business, Health, and Prosperity, the project is Health to Go and is a distributed healthcare system for underserved, hard-to-reach communities in Ghana, Africa. Our ultimate goal is to improve how public health interfaces with communities worldwide using innovation and a creative vision of what public health could be, not what public health is now. Now, my secret goal is to earn the name the bad boy of public marketing. I have my work cut out for me, but I want to thank you and invite you any questions you may have. Thank you. There's one there.
I'm just curious, what are those 5 books that you read each year?
Sure. One of them, I actually mentioned a couple of them. One of them is The Tao by Lao Tzu, but people think that Lao Tzu may not have been a real person. It was a conglomeration of philosophers. Marcus Aurelius' Meditation, an excellent book. Stephen R. Covey, how many know what that book is? Habits of Highly Effective People. That is a great one. The other one is by Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. And then the fifth one, I actually moved through the fifth one. Right now I'm reading the Bhagavad Gita, which is a Hindu book. And another thing, guys, I don't just read the book once. I have those books and I read little bits of it throughout the year. And I just find every time I read them, I find new and different things that help me move forward. And I'm thinking about it differently than I did the last time. But they may be the right books, they may be the wrong books, but I do recommend you get some of those that you really like.
I know you just mentioned some of your biggest accomplishment by reshaping just the face of how advertising with all these shows are made. But what would you say is one biggest failure that you had that you're grateful for and taught you a lot?
Only one?
Your biggest failure.
Oh, my biggest, okay, what would be my biggest failure? There's so many. I would say it's probably at Disney, and we were doing something called the Disney Afternoon, which is a 2-hour block of advertising, and we did not choose the right cartoons, animation to be in that, and it was a complete disaster. And it was because we didn't do our homework. We didn't ask the consumer what they wanted to watch. We told the consumer what they want to watch. Anytime you tell the consumer something, rather than ask them what they want, it is a disaster situation.
Okay. Hi, Rick. My name is Cade Russell. I'm with the group from Utah State, and I
Go
just have
Aggies.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. I just have a quick question about. I know I saw that you went to Utah State, and I wanted to know if you were back in our position at 21, 22, 23 years old, and you were going about the same path. What is something that you would do differently or do that would help project your career or help you take another step forward?
Okay, I did know I said this before, but I really do mean it. Be your number one advocate, and let me give you an example of that. When I transitioned from Procter & Gamble, I loved Procter, to be clear. I was there for 7 years. It was great, but man, they were so uptight. It was kind of hard to go to school. I remember one time going in, and I had a sport jacket on rather than a suit coat on. I was called into my brand manager's office and said, "Can you explain to me why your suit coat doesn't match your suit pants?" I said, "Yeah, this is called a sport jacket." They had me go home for the day to think about what I had done so I would never do it again. Now, this is all leading up to, okay, I had to get out of Procter. It was great, need to move. I wanted to work at Disney, okay? Huge gap between Disney and Procter, right? How do you do that? Well, I did one of my insider tips, which is knowing what's going on in the marketplace. And what was going on is home videos were moving outside of Blockbuster into food, drug, and mass merchandiser stores where you could buy it rather than rent it. Disney had none of that technology, none of that experience. That's all I had in technology was food, drug, and mass merchandisers. I was my number one advocate, and I went like a dog with a bone saying, I want to work at Disney. Who do you know that works at Disney? Single-minded focus, knowing what you want to do, and go for it, thinking no one else can do it but you. You've got to do that or it's not going to work.
Hi, my name's Cameron. I'm just curious, how does one small person linked to a nonprofit as a partner or an ambassador get word out and find traction to start getting funding and get a group together to support that?
Okay, patience. This is the thing. I've been doing this, and I've been doing it with my partner, Steve Alder, for 15 years, Steve? 15 years, and I feel that the first time this year is something that we've really got, and it's taken 15 years to get to. So I think you have to be passionate about it. I think you have to have single-minded focus. Again, single-minded focus. I think you have to know what you want. And the other thing that I really think is important, and sometimes it's hard to do, don't compromise. Know what you want and go for that. And it's a long but very rewarding road.
My name is Blake. You talked about make or break opportunities
Yes.
in your career. Did you have one like that was a weekend decision that led you to where you are now?
Yes, I did. So there we were. It was February of 2007. A friend of mine who I worked with at Lifetime had just gone over to the CW to start a new network. And I needed to decide if I wanted to be part of the initial team to start the CW network. And I had a Sunday to make that decision. And on top of that, the people that I was communicating with were at the Super Bowl, and I was negotiating while they were watching the Super Bowl, and I was trying to get some points in. So it happens a lot, I will tell you, especially if you rely on yourself and rely on your Rolodex. That's the way it works. They just call, hey, would you ever consider this? 3 days ago, I just got an invitation with my former CFO, my former CEO. You guys want to do something? And I said, yes, yes, yes. You've just got to be ready and understand the situation and don't hesitate, because hesitation will mean that you probably won't get the job. She's had that poor arm up so tight.
Hi, my name's Shaylin. I help with marketing at the Center for Business Health and Prosperity, and we were curious, as an entertainment executive, what inspired you or your personal experience to start working with Health to Go and Cast-a-Pebble Foundation?
Do I tell the real story? Do we have time? Okay, yeah, very quickly, I will tell you how. We were on a trip with my siblings and myself to Africa doing some safaris, and I was desperate to find a Christmas present my parents wouldn't put in what I called their Christmas closet, unopened and never used. It was suggested by Steve, who was working in Ghana at the time, that there was a place he was working that were in desperate need of schools because the other schools they needed to get to were so far away, kids weren't getting educated. So I decided to fund the building of those schools, dedicate it to my parents as a great new fresh idea gift for them, and as something that we could do good. That's what happened. My parents still said, why do I want this? It's in Africa. But that lit me, and since then I have been working on this, and we've really gone from building buildings and stuff to really doing extensive nationwide projects. So it really started there, and that's the other thing I'd like to say, is you never know what's going to start a project that is going to move into the focus of your life. So.
Thank you for all of the positive work you've done.
Well, no, it's, can I tell you something? Okay. Here's the thing about that. I don't do it for that reason. I really don't, but thank you, but I don't, that's not why I do it. Because I'm helping other people, because it's my mission to help people figure out how they can have better lives.
Take one more question, Steve, real quick one, and then we'll wrap.
Hello, sir. This is Aaron Romero from Utah Tech. You mentioned you want the best performer for every school to be the ones that are getting hired, but you think the market is prepared for that? You think the human resources are prepared for that? Or they're just looking for big names of universities?
No, I think that in fact, I think now more than ever, people do not want big names. If you look at what's been going on with the Ivy Leagues this year, it's not a good thing. I think that now is the best time. Again, you've got to be your own, you've got to be proactive. You've got to do well on your grades. You've got to do well on tests. The other thing that's interesting, the other thing that people are looking for right now when it comes to recruiting is how do you work as a team? Not necessarily a sports team, but how do you work together as a team? They're really looking at, and is everyone Gen Z here? Am I going to get in trouble? Gen Zers don't really like to be team workers, and they're finding that out. So it's just not, but I think now is the best time, and the reason why I put that as my #1 insider tip is because that to me is one of the most important things that you can find, that the world is your oyster. You can go anywhere in today's world and take advantage of that.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much.